Hello, everybody, again. This is Ron talking to you from the recording studios of the Erasmus Academy. And today we have Chad with us as our guest speaker. Do you want to say hello, Chad?
How's it going?
Great. Okay. So you see in front of you on the screen the image of the picture that's being described from Vermeer. And we show this at the beginning of each segment. And so I'm going to go over here. Just one second here. Okay, so, and this is the text that we're going to look at today, going from dieses Bild down to Ausnahme. And this is the second section. For those of you who are art historians or Vermeer aficionados, at first glance, it doesn't seem to be so much profound sort of things described here, but there are a lot of very interesting insights that come through a close look at this text. So this is an enjoyable text to work through. Are you all ready, Chad? You want to repeat after me?
Ready to go.
Okay, so as our normal procedure, I'll read aloud the sentence and Chad will repeat after me, and please read with him to get a sense of the flow of the sentences, and then I'll ask him questions and try to ask yourselves the same questions as we piece together the meaning of these sentences. Okay, going on, and we'll go from here today, identified as number 2, from here down to the end of the paragraph. Okay, here we go. Dieses Bild wurde von dem Wohnhaus des Künstlers aus gemalt. Everybody?
Dieses Bild wurde von dem Wohnhaus des Künstlers ausgemalt.
Okay, taking a look at that sentence, where's the verb complex?
Wurde gemalt.
Good, and that means?
It was painted.
Perfect. Okay, it was painted. So past tense, passive voice. It was painted. Where's the subject?
Should be built.
Yeah, dieses Bild as a neuter noun. Dieses Bild. And then was painted from the residence of the artist. Now, what is this aus doing here? Is it a separate prefix or something else?
No, it's not located at the end of a sentence, so
Mm-hmm.
it's probably a directional adverb or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. Just showing a little bit more dramatically the action or movement of within the sentence. So it just means really from the standpoint from the Wohnhaus is the residence house of the artist. So how would you translate that first sentence?
I would say this picture was painted from the standpoint of perhaps the house, the residence of the artist.
Yeah. So the idea is that the artist is painting from his own house, the view that he sees that you saw on the screen just before. Um, and that's the scene that he sees from his house, apparently. Okay, going on. Obwohl es gleichfalls von einer großen Vorliebe für Details und von einer sehr sorgfältigen Beobachtung zeugt. Everybody?
Obwohl es gleichfalls von einer großen Vorliebe für Details und von einer sehr sorgfältigen Beobachtung zeugt.
Good. Details is just actually a word from English that they use unchanged in German. Okay. So when you started the sentence with obwohl, is that could that be a main clause or only a dependent clause?
It's going to need to be dependent
Good.
clause.
So then after the comma, you see a verb here, wird. And where's the verb complex after the comma?
Wird bestimmt.
Good. So it, and how would you translate that? This bestimmen means to determine.
Right. I would say it is determined.
Good. Great. Okay. It is determined. Great. And what's the subject of that? It is determined?
I think it's Schönheit.
Yeah, it's beauty, i.e. the beauty of the painting. So just going back a little ways. So obwohl means although, and where's the verb of that clause?
It'd be
Chad?
at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So it's zeugt.
Zeugt. This means is evidence for. So although it, what is the antecedent of it? I mean s?
Well, it would be some sort of neuter thing, so built.
Yeah, good. Although it, the painting, similarly or as well, is evidence of a, and then Vorliebe is a preference for or a predilection. So
Mm.
although the painting, demonstrates a predilection of a great preference for details, and also is evidence of a very, and this is an adjective, a very careful observation. Then going on, so wird, so just repeat the main core sentence there after the comma.
Okay. So seine Schönheit wird bestimmt.
Perfect. Yeah. So wird seine Schönheit bestimmt. Thus, its beauty is determined. And then going on, reading together. Doch nicht allein durch die genaue Wiedergabe der Häuser. Go ahead.
Doch nicht allein durch die genaue Wiedergabe der Häuser.
Okay. So this painting is not, so its beauty is not determined yet, not only a line through, and then what cases does durch always take, Chad?
Accusative.
Accusative. Through the exact reproduction of houses, that's the end of the sentence. Okay, going on. Interessanter waren für den Künstler der Übergang eines Hauses in das andere. Go ahead, everybody.
Interessanter waren für den Künstler der Übergang eines Hauses
Good.
in das andere.
Good. So we're going right from here down to here. And where's the verb in that one, Chad?
I think it's just waren.
Mm-hmm. And what does that mean?
They were.
Okay, so we're looking for a plural subject. Where do you find it in the sentence?
Okay, well, it's going to be der Übergang, I believe, and die räumliche Wirkung.
Yeah, and going on after the und. Und die räumliche Wirkung. Yeah, so the transition and the spatial effect. Okay, so and what about the interessante? What part of speech is that? So you have together now, they were, so the transition and the spatial effect were
more interesting. It's an adverb, I believe, right?
Well, it's actually a predicate adjective.
Oh, that's right.
But
Yeah.
a comparative. So
Mm-hmm.
so for the artist, the transition from a house into the other. What case is this? In das andere. Dative or accusative?
It's going to be. It'll need to be accusative to make sense. Yeah.
Good. So accusative always indicates destination or direction towards something, whereas dative often connotes location where something is. So this definitely means it is accusative. So more interesting is the transition from one house into the other. You know, he has a lot of these images of seeing one room and then imagining the entrance into another room, or the transition into another, and then also the spatial effect. So you want to do the whole sentence together, starting with interessanter?
Sure. More interesting for the artist were the transition of one house into another and the, I guess, spatial effect.
Yeah, great. Okay, going on.
Like
Eine solche malerische Auffassung war zu seiner Zeit, everybody?
Eine solche malerische Auffassung war zu seiner Zeit,
als es bei der Darstellung von Städtchen und Gebäuden hauptsächlich auf eine genaue Wiedergabe ankam,
als es bei der Darstellung von Städten und Gebäuden hauptsächlich auf eine genaue Wiedergabe ankam.
Eine große Ausnahme.
Eine große Ausnahme.
Okay, let's take this sentence apart here. So you're starting out, where's up to this comma, where's the verb?
It's just var.
Yeah, and that means?
It was.
And the subject is?
Auffassung.
Good. And so such pictorial, or you could say such a pictorial conception was at his time. And then you have a dependent clause from the comma all the way down to this comma. So where does the sentence conclude?
I'm sorry, Ron, what are you asking?
Yeah, it concludes right here. So
Yes.
Such a pictorial conception was at his time a great exception. So
Okay.
that the way that he was understanding or perceiving or imagining his painting constituted a great exception to the other painters of his time. And then going on the second half here, als es bei der Darstellung. Where's the verb in that from als all the way to ankam?
Well, it's uncom, but I think you need to have the alf in there as well for meaning this time
Hmm.
around.
Good. So unkommen means to uh, ankommen auf means to be dependent upon. So it was uh, as it was dependent upon, you would say, and then this takes the accusative. As it, there's no antecedent of the s, but it's just a general reference to the conception earlier mentioned. As it, in the case of, always with by, is you're safe by saying in the case of plus the dative. As in the case of the representation of cities and buildings, primarily was dependent upon, and then auf takes the accusative, an exact reproduction. So that was what was normally accepted in his time for that sort of exact representation. But
Hmm.
his work represented an exception. Let's see. We did the first half. You want to go on from interessante and just do a translation slowly to the through those last 3 lines?
Sure. More interesting for the artist were the transition of one house into another and the spatial effect. Such a pictorial conception in his time was a significant exception when in the case of the representation of cities and buildings, it primarily depended upon exact reproduction.
That's good. Good. Great. Okay. A little bit complex, but very interesting comment on Vermeer's painting. Thanks a lot for joining us, and hope you join us for the next session. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.